Hi guys, welcome back. So today we're going to be creating a PostgreSQL database instance in AWS in the cloud. Okay, so you can see here I've created a database here called Connors DB. It's a PostgreSQL database which we can interact with through the terminal or through pgAdmin, which is the PostgreSQL graphical user interface, or through our apps. Okay, so just to show you what we can do in the terminal here, if I connect to my, I can connect to my PostgreSQL RDS instance here using the psql command, connecting to the Amazon server through this port to my created database as my user. So if you do that, put in my password here, and you can see we are connected now to a database called MyDB, which we created in the video. And then if I just do a /L to list all the databases, you can see we have our PostgreSQL database, we have our MyDB database, and then we can also just display the tables as well. So if I do a /DT for display tables, you can see we have this users table. If I select all from the users table, you can see we have these two entries here. So Connor B90 with my email address and johndoe@gmail.com. Now, if I just show you as well, we'll also be connecting to this instance through pgAdmin as well, which is a piece of software we can use to write SQL queries. And again, I can do the same thing. So I just select all from users, run that query, and you can see we get those entries returned. Now we can insert users here. To users, username and email. And then we'll do values. And here we can just do Jane Doe. And then for the email, we'll just do janedoe@gmail.com. Execute this query. See that's inserted. And now if I come back here and we just select all from users again, you can now see that Jane Doe has been added. And we can do that vice versa. So I can also run SQL queries in here. Okay, so that's just what we'll be doing in this tutorial. We're getting Amazon RDS instance up and running, and we'll be learning how to interact with that instance using the shell or the terminal, as well as using pgAdmin. Hope you enjoy, guys, and let's get going. Thanks. Okay guys, so to get started, we first need to create an RDS or relational database service instance using Amazon AWS. Okay, so I'm just going to navigate to the AWS console, and if I just click on this link up here, so if you don't already have an account, just create one. I think just to bear in mind, you do need a credit card or debit card to sign up. This will all be free though, what we're doing on this tutorial, but just bear that in mind when you do register. So I'm going to sign in at the top here, and I'm going to sign in with my root user email address, which you create when you sign up. So I'll just select root user here, and then I'll just put my email, and then we'll do next, and then we sign in. And this will take us to the home page of the console. So what I want to do here is in the top, you'll see the search bar. We're just going to type in RDS for relational database service. And you have this Aurora and RDS here. So we'll click onto that. And I'm just going to click on create database. So basically what this service does, it just allows us to host a database in the cloud, which we can, interact with via, like a SQL GUI or through our applications as well. So what we're going to do here, the settings we're going to use, I'm going to use a standard create here. We're going to use PostgreSQL as our database engine. There's various options here, but this tutorial will just be going over PostgreSQL. So this is like a SQL, it's a very popular SQL library. You can see here, powerful open source, object relational database system with strong reputation of reliability, stability and correctness. The version here, I'm going to use the PostgreSQL 17.2. And then in the templates option here, you have production, dev test, or a free tier option. So I'm going to use this free tier option. For production, you get these additional options like multi-cluster deployments, 3 instances, 2 instances. And basically this just kind of, it gives you more reliability. So you can see here 99.95% uptime. And it's kind of spread over various clusters. So, if one cluster goes down, you have like that kind of backup. For this tutorial, we'll just be using the free tier. So I'm just going to select the free tier up here, and that only allows us to pick this 1 instance deployment, which is fine for this tutorial. Okay, and then I'm going to call this just database 1. I'll just call this Connors DB rather, we'll just do that. And then the master username here, I've just left this as Postgres. We'll just keep it at that for now. And then we'll also just self-manage our password as well. So I'm just going to enter a password here. Make sure you use a strong password. Okay, and then in the configuration, as we're using the free tier, we don't really have many options. So we're just going to go over this 2 CPU, 1 gig RAM, and then the network, to this option here. So I think, if you you go on like more professional tiers or the production tiers, you can select more options, but here this is fine for this tutorial. And then you have storage, so we'll use this general purpose SSD here, and we'll have 20 gigabytes of storage, which is perfect for this. Okay, and then connectivity, I'm not going to use an EC2 compute instance. We'll use IPv4, so the IPv4 IP addresses to connect to and communicate with this database. Okay, I'm going to use the default virtual private cloud settings. That's fine. Public access, yes. Want to select yes here so we can read and write to our database externally. And then I'm going to just create a new group here, and I'll just say Connor VPC. This is like a new security firewall group. We'll just use that for now. Just create a new one for this tutorial, this project. No preference for the availability zone. We won't use any proxies for this. We don't need that for this tutorial. Database authentication, we use password authentication. We'll just use a standard insights. Don't need to do anything advanced for this. And then we'll also, so this is basically like a retention period, only 7 days of a free tier, but that's not really important for this. Additional monitoring services, we don't need any additional kind of logs or anything like that, so we'll just skip that part. Additional configuration, I'll just set up an initial database name here. We can just say I don't know, users or something like that. We'll just go with that for now. Oh, actually, we'll leave that blank. We don't really need that for the time being. That's fine. Backup, we can enable automated backups. That's fine. Encryption, all good. Leave that as it is. Maintenance window, no preference. And then, okay. That's fine. Monthly costs, that's all good. Okay, create database. And now, bear in mind, this it can take a fair while to spin up. It takes a few minutes. So whilst that's running, what we'll do in the meantime is just check that we have PostgreSQL actually installed on our machines, okay? So let's just do that now. I'm just going to open a new terminal window here. I'll bring this up here. Let's just minimize this. Okay, so what we want to do now is let's just bring the terminal over. And now to check if you've got PostgreSQL installed in your machine, just type in psql -- version. Okay, and then press enter, and then you'll see here that I have PostgreSQL 17.4 installed. Now, you may not have this psql command, so if you don't, the way to install it is, I think the easiest way is by using brew. Okay, so if you you might need to install Homebrew for this. So if you just navigate to Homebrew in Google, let's just do that now. Homebrew. So if you want to install Homebrew, you just basically copy this command here, and you can then put that into your terminal. Now, I've already got this installed, so what we want to do, once that is installed, Homebrew, we can just come back to the terminal. And here, what you want to do is install this library. So say brew install libpq. So this is the library for PostgreSQL. Install that. You'll see it's downloading here, but this should already be installed and satisfied. So it says, already installed and up to date. And then once that is installed on your machine, just type in this here. So we'll say brew link. And we'll just use the false flag here, libpq. Oh, it should be brew. Okay, but it's already linked. Once you run that, you should have the PostgreSQL commands. When you type that in -- version, you should see that version is installed. Okay, so let's clear that. And then what I want to do now is that's still up and running. We're also going to install another application called pgAdmin. Okay, and what this is basically just a front-end graphical user interface that we can use to, well, perform SQL queries on our database in the cloud. So if you just download this version, click comes to download here, download the one for your relevant system, and then once that's installed, yeah, we'll open that in a second. But let's just now wait until this database has spun up, and then we can log in via the terminal. Okay, so you can see that our database is now available. So if I click into this, and then the important tab here is this connectivity and security tab where you can see we have our endpoint as well as our port. Now to connect to this through the terminal, we can just say, so we use that psql command, and then what we want to do here, we'll just do a -h for the host name, and here I'm going to copy that endpoint. So we can paste that in here. And then the next thing we want to do here is a P for port. And here we use that 5432, which is the default Postgres port. And then we'll do a -D for database. And we'll first just log into our PostgreSQL database. And then for the user, we'll do a capital U. And then I will also just do Postgres here as well. This is the default user that we're set up with. Okay, so then it asked me for a password, so I'm just going to type that in here. Bear in mind that it doesn't show you the typing on here, so it's just blank, so you have to just do it blindly. And now you can see that's worked. So I've logged in, and you can see we're logged in as Postgres. So now what I can do, if I do a \L, this will just give me a list of all of the databases in our systems. You can see we have this Postgres database. We have this RDS admin, which we can't access. This is basically the administrative Amazon user, which does all the kind of updates and backups in the background, so we don't have access to that. This is a relational database service, so they're providing all of the kind of, the infrastructure settings for us. So yeah, we don't need to worry about this. Now, to create a database, what I want to do now is I'm just going to say, we'll say create database mydb. Okay, so let's do that now. Create database, and we'll just say, I don't know, new, yeah, we'll just say my database, mydb, like so. Okay, so now if I just do a \L again, oh, and what I need to do there as well, yeah, is to always remember to put your colon, a semicolon at the end, as otherwise it won't register the command. So when I did that, just bear in mind you need to do this. Yeah, create a database, mydb. Okay. So now if I do a \L, you'll see that now we have that mydb has been created. Okay, so now what I want to do now is create a new user. So if I just also do this, so du for display users, you can see we get a list of all the users that are currently logged on. As I said, these RDS ones, don't worry about these. We can't log into these. These are basically managed by Amazon. Okay, but we do have this Postgres user, which can create roles, create databases, basically just do anything. So it's like a super user. But I want to create a new user. So let's do that now. We'll just say create user. And we can just say, I'm going to call this user Connor. I'll just say with password. And we'll just say password lowercase for now. So not very secure, but don't worry, I'll delete this instance after the tutorial. Okay, so that's created a user. Now if I just do display users again, you can see that we have Connor create up here. Although there's no attributes at the moment, so we need to grant him or myself some permissions here. So to do that, I'm just going to say alter role, and we'll alter my role, Connor, and we'll just say with create DB for create database to allow me to create databases, allow me to create roles as well. Create role. Okay, so now you can see that, and you can see that I've been granted those permissions. And then also what I want to do here is I'm just going to say grant create on database, and we'll just say my DB to Connor. Okay, so now I'll be able to perform actions on this MyDB database that we've created. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to log out now. So if I just do a /quit, you can see that /q exits us from that Postgres instance. I'm now just going to change my user here. So I'll just, instead of Postgres, I'll just say Connor, like so. And then I'll just enter my password. And now we are in password. And then what I want to do, I actually logged into Postgres database. I can do a /c for change and then go to MyDB, like so. And you can see here, you are now connected to database MyDB as user Connor. Okay, and then what I want to do now is let's actually just create a table. So we can say create table. I'll do this in capitals just to highlight the SQL syntax. Create table. And I'm just going to create a users table. So we'll say users. This could be anything, what you need for your application. Okay, and then the ID, we're going to take an ID for the users, which will be a serial, which is basically an incrementing number. And then we'll just say primary key to show that this is a unique value. And then we'll have a username, add a comma at the end, don't forget that. Username, this will be a varchar for variable characters. And then we'll just give this a constraint of unique and not null, so it can't be left blank. And then we'll also just have an email, and then we can just say, again, varchar, and then we'll just say unique, not null. Okay, and then I can close this down, and then don't forget to use the semicolon. Okay, so it seems we've got an issue here where it says permission denied for schema public. So what we need to do here is we need to log in, re-log in as the PostgreSQL user or Postgres user, and we need to change the database to MyDB, and then we need to grant this permission to update the public schema for Connor, for the user Connor. So let's do that now. So to fix this issue, I'm going to log in as, well, Postgres again. And it's going to change to MyDB. And then here I can say grant create on schema public to Connor, like so. So that should hopefully work now. So if I do /q to quit, log back in as Connor, we'll change to MyDB. And then now if I try to create that table, you can see that's now been created. Okay, so now we can do a select all from users. Okay, so you can see that we have our table there with our ID, username. Now if we insert into users, we'll insert username and email, and here we'll say values, and we'll just do username will be Connor B 90, and then we'll just say my email, which is conbailey90@gmail.com. Close that off. You can see we get that inserted. Now if I just do the select all from users, you can see that we have that entered. Okay, so that's cool. That's how we get our PostgreSQL database up and running. I now just want to show you how to connect to this with pgAdmin. So I'm just going to open up pgAdmin now, which you'll remember is our front-end graphical user interface we can use to interact with databases. Just bring this here. And then what I want to do is we want to connect to a new server. Okay, so we'll say create server group. I'm just right-clicking on this server here, create server group. Or register server rather, sorry. And then I'm just going to say Connor's DB. And then in the connection, the host name, we just copy this. And I'll put that in here, like so. And then we can also just say Postgres, or I'll just put my details in there. Password, we'll just say password like so, and then under the collection, and that should be it. So now if I save, you should see here we get to our database now, and you can see that we get MyDB here. Okay, then when we go into this, we can go into schemas, and then if we go to tables, you should see that we get our users table. And now what I can do is if I just right click and just select the query tool here, we can just say select all from users, run that query, and you'll see there's my name added. Okay, so that's how you can kind of interact with this using pgAdmin as well. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that tutorial, guys. I'm using this to create an app at the moment, so yeah, just thought I'd share this with you in the process of setting up a SQL database in the cloud. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Cheers.